Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome everyone in today's class for the first intermediate grade. Our lesson today is what's school-like listening and pronunciation. This lesson will be presented by me, teacher Mazen Al-Harbi, and the sign language by Mr. Saleh Al-Ujan. So let's begin. Our objectives in today's lesson that we hope at the end of this lesson you will be able to listen for specific information and produce the ES sound at verb endings. But before we start, let's make a quick revision on our last lesson. Last lesson, we have a new grammar rule, which is about the simple present tense, where we learned that with certain subject pronoun, we made changes to the verb. For example, we said in our last lesson that if we use the pronoun I, you, we, or they, we use the verb as it is, as we can see here in speak. And also, if we have the third singular pronouns like he and she, here in this case, we add s to the verb. And we call those verbs are the regular verb. For example, verbs like speak, play, write, we use them as they are. We said, for example, I speak English. You play football. We write homework. So here, with those subject pronouns, we use the verb without making any changes. But when we use the singular or the third singular pronoun, he or she, in this case, we add s to the verb. For example, we would say, he speaks English. She plays football. He writes homework. So in this case, we add s. When can we add s? If we use the third singular pronoun, he or she. And also we have irregular verbs, verbs that have their own form. And the most famous example of those verbs is have and has. We said that not all the verbs in English have the same format, but some of them are regular, have a regular system. Like, for example, those verbs, we only add s to it without making major changes. But we have other verbs that, no, we should do major changes. For example, the verb have. When I said, for example, I have a book, you have a book. But if we want to use the verb have with the third singular pronoun, in this case, we would change it to has. So the sentence will be, he has a book or she has a book. So the verbs in black are the regular verbs, and the verbs in red are, we call them, irregular verbs that they have their own rules. And also we learn how to make negative sentences in simple present tense. For example, with the same subject pronouns, I, you, we, they, we use don't. We use don't if we want to make negative sentences. For example, I don't speak English. I don't speak English. You don't speak English. Also, with the third singular pronoun like he and she, in this case, we use doesn't. So he doesn't speak English, or she doesn't speak English. So this is how can we use negative sentences in simple present tense. With don't and doesn't, it refers to what the subject, or depends on the subject pronouns that we use. Also, we learn how can we make questions. We said that if we want to make question in simple present tense, we use do. If we use those subject pronouns, you, we, they, and we use does if we want to use the subject pronoun he or she. Like, for example, do you speak English, or does he speak English? And as we did with the first one, if the answer is affirmative, or use a yes answer, we would say, yes, I do with this pronoun, or yes, he does with this pronoun. Or as in negative sentence, no, I don't, or no, he doesn't. And this is only an example of the simple present tense we had last time. And also we talked about adjective. We said that adjectives in English go before nouns or after the verb to be. For example, the first sentence here, Uncle Peter has a long beard. As we can see here, long is an adjective and beard is a noun. So usually the adjective comes before a noun. And also it comes after the verb to be. When we say, for example, history is interesting. So here we see the adjective and here we see the verb to be. After it comes the adjective. And we gave many examples of this when we say, for example, math is challenging, English is easy, my friend is thin, and more examples of this. And we did a very interesting exercise when we said that we have Ahmed's table and we need to, or we made certain questions about Ahmed's table. So as you can see here, here are the classes, the periods, and here are the subjects with the teacher of each subject. And also here are the days, and those check mark means that if he going to study that subject on that day. So in our lesson today, I would like you first to open your books on page 13. Open your books, please, on page 13. So now we're going to have a listening exercise. And this time we have a different exercise than what we usually do. So in this exercise, imagine that you are at the airport and you are meeting two visitors at the airport. You don't know what they look like. Listen to the description, answer yes or no. So imagine that you are at the airport and you supposed to meet new two visitors. What you need to do is to listen to them describing themselves. To listen to them describing themselves. For example, if someone said, hi, I am tall, I am short, I have black hair, I have brown hair, I wear a red jacket, I wear a blue jacket, and so on. So we need to listen to the description. After this, when we listen to their description, we're going to answer the description that is already written in the book. So let's first read those descriptions, and after this, we listen to them talking about themselves. So the first person or the first visitor we are about to listen to is Ted. Now let's read those statements that Ted talked about himself. So when we listen, we know what we are looking for when we listen. So the first one, Ted has black hair. Ted has black hair. When we listen to Ted, we're going to decide. If it's true, we're going to write yes. If it's not, we're going to write no. The second one, Ted has long hair. Ted has long hair. Number 3, Ted is tall. Ted is tall. And number 4, Ted is carrying a laptop. Ted is carrying a laptop. So now we have read 4 descriptions. Now it is time to listen for Ted, and then we're going to decide if the answers yes or no. So we're going to listen twice, as we always do. The first time you listen without answering, without writing anything. The second time, listen carefully and start to elicit some information about those sentences. So let's begin.
I'm Ted. I have short brown hair and brown eyes. I think I'm tall. Oh, I always carry my laptop with me on my trips. I like to play games. I'm about the same age as you. You can't miss me.
Very well. Now we have listened to Ted for the first time. Now we're going to listen for the second time. And remember, this time you should write down the answer. Just think of the answer and write them down. So let's listen one more time to Ted.
I'm Ted. I have short brown hair and brown eyes. I think I'm tall. Oh, I always carry my laptop with me on my trips. I like to play games. I'm about the same age as you. You can't miss me.
Very well. Now we have listened to Ted talking about himself. And he said a lot of things about himself. He said like, I am at your age, the same age as you. And he said, I like to play games. But what about his hair? What about his height? And also, what about whether if he's carrying a laptop or not? Let's try to read them again and answer them together. So, for the first one, Ted has black hair. Ted has black hair. What do you think of this sentence? Did Ted said that he has a black hair? Very good. The answer is no. Ted said that I have a brown hair. I have a brown hair. Let's listen to the second sentence. Ted has long hair. So, did Ted said that he has long hair? Very good. The answer is also no. He said that I have short brown hair. I have short brown hair. Now, let's listen to number 3. Ted is tall. Did Ted said about himself that he is tall? Very good. He said this. He said that I think I am tall. And number 4, Ted is carrying a laptop. So, did Ted said that he is carrying a laptop? Very good. Yes, Ted said this. He said, I am carrying a laptop and I like to play games. I like to play games. So we're going to write for the first one. The answer is no. He has brown hair. The second one, the answer is no. He has a short hair. And the third one, the answer is yes. He is tall. And the fourth one, the answer is yes. He said always carrying a laptop with him. Now, this is the information about the first visitor at the airport. Now, let's go to the second visitor at the airport, and we're going to do the same as what we did with Ted. We're going to listen to him describing himself, and also we're going to elicit some information from him. The second person is Seth. The second person or the second visitor is Seth. We're going to listen to Seth, and after this, we're going to answer whether with yes or no. So number 1, Seth has brown hair. Seth has brown hair. We're going to listen to see if he said that he has a brown hair. Number 2, Seth wears glasses. Seth wears glasses. We're going to listen and see if he wears glasses or not. Number 3, Seth is short. Seth is short. Ted said about himself that he is tall, and here Seth said he is short. Let's listen and see or decide if this is true or not. And the fourth one, Seth always carries a camera. Seth always carries a camera with him. Ted said that he is always carrying a laptop, and now Seth said that he carries a camera. We still don't know. We're going to listen to Seth describing himself, talking about himself, and then we will decide whether if this information is true or not. So, as we did with Ted, we're going to listen twice. The first time we listen only for listening, without writing any answer, without thinking of anything. We just listen to Seth talking about himself. The other listening, this time we're going to listen specifically to know the information that are mentioned here. So let's listen for the first time.
I'm Seth. I have blonde hair and blue eyes. And you know I wear glasses. I'm not very tall, but I'm not short. I'm medium height. I'm 15 years old, but I look about 18, I think. I always carry a digital camera with me on trips. I take a lot of photos. You'll recognize me easily.
Very good. Now, if you notice that Seth talks a lot about himself, he described himself more than Ted. So there are a lot of information about about Seth. So let's listen again, and this time try to elicit some answers of what Seth said about himself.
I'm Seth. I have blonde hair and blue eyes. And you know I wear glasses. I'm not very tall, but I'm not short. I'm medium height. I'm 15 years old, but I look about 18, I think. I always carry a digital camera with me on trips. I take a lot of photos. You'll recognize me easily.
Very well. Now, Seth talked a lot about himself. He said that I think I am 18 years old. And now let's read those sentences and trying to decide if those sentences were mentioned by Seth or not. So let's start with the first one. Seth has brown hair. Seth has a brown hair. So did Seth said that he has a brown hair? Very good. The answer is no. Seth said that he has a blonde hair. A blonde hair. Not brown, a blonde. So there is a difference. You may hear it as brown, but the answer is blonde hair. And number two, Seth wears glasses. Seth wears glasses. So did Seth said that he wears glasses? Very good. He said, if you notice, I am wearing glasses. If you notice, I am wearing glasses. And number three, Seth is short. Seth is short. So did Seth said that he is short? Very good. He didn't. He said that I'm not short and I'm not tall. He said that I'm not short and I am not tall. I am medium height. Medium height. So there is a line in between. So he's not tall and he is not short. He is medium height. So this is the height of Seth. The fourth one, he said, Seth always carries a camera. Seth always carries a camera. So is this true? Did Seth said that he say that he always carries a camera? Very good. The answer is yes. He said that I have a digital camera. So not any kind, but a digital camera. I like to take a lot of photos with me, and you will not miss me. So here we have answered the descriptions of Seth. We said that Seth has brown hair. We said no, he has a blonde hair. And number two, Seth wears glasses. Yes, he wears glasses. And number three, Seth is short. The answer, of course, is no, because he is medium height, not tall and not short. And number four, Seth always carries a camera. The answer is yes. He has a digital camera and he always likes to take photos. So these are the answer. Make sure that you check them properly. Now, let's move on to the pronunciation section, which is the last part in our lesson today. Now, if you notice, I need you to have a look at this verb, teach. When I say, for example, I teach English, I teach English. You notice that the word teach has only one syllable, teach, teach. But if we're going to use this verb with a third person or with pronouns like he or she, now the pronunciation will differ. Why? Because instead of one syllable, it will become two syllables. So if we add E and S, the pronunciation will be like he teaches, teaches English. So when I use teach alone, it will be one syllable, I teach English. But when we add ES, it becomes two syllable. He teaches, teaches. And the same with other verbs that we're going to see after the slide. The situation is the same. When you pronounce it alone, it will be has one syllable, easy to pronounce, teach. But when you add es, Now it become 2 syllables, teaches. So have a look at these sentences and remember that I'm going to listen, I'm going to pronounce it, and you need to repeat with me. I'm going to pronounce it twice and you need to repeat with me. The first sentence: Mr. Robinson teaches geography. Mr. Robinson teaches geography. The second one: Carrie watches TV every night. Carrie watches TV every night. The description matches the photo. The description matches the photo. Fred uses the library all the time. Fred uses the library all the time. Now here we have similar examples of the verb teaches. Teaches, watches, matches, and also uses. And with this verb, we didn't pronounce it as a S sound, but we pronounce it as ZA sound. So there is a difference. Now, don't forget on your workbook to check pages 94 and 95, where we have more practice with present tense and using adjectives to describe people. And now we have reached the end of our lesson. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.